doing, buddy?
Fantastic, buddy. Mr. Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, I'm still kind of in shock after the Ngannou fight against Tyson Fury. Man, I gotta admit I was fucking wrong because, I predicted that it's gonna be like a one-sided fight, something like Mayweather against McGregor. And like Tyson Fury is gonna dominate the fight and just gonna get like an easy TKO against Ngannou or win on points. But I was fucking wrong, man. Ngannou put on hell of a show and arguably won the fight. Like that's fucking crazy against like number one heavyweight boxer in the world. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Everybody predicted that. Everybody says in the beginning, like Tyson Fury's got his walk in the park. He's been doing this for so long. This guy is moving into new territory, and this is the territory of Tyson Fury. So everybody thought that. So that's not
Yeah.
one. You shouldn't feel 1 second bad for thinking that. And I think Ngannou shook up the world the way that he fought.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, like I was like very surprised. I was kind of like low key, supporting Ngannou on this fight because he was like such an underdog and like I think he's a likable guy. The way he like left the UFC, like standing up for himself and doing all this like standing up for other fighters' rights as well, and that's why kind of he left the UFC. And he was having like more of a humble attitude like going to this fight. Like Tyson Fury was like a bit like overconfident. And yeah, man, I mean, Ngannou like surprised me. The way that he boxed like so technical and he didn't rush in. He kind of like hold back and just like going like technical, and that's what I didn't expect from Ngannou. I was kind of expecting him to just looking for a big power shot and like gonna get pieced up, but yeah, I mean it's crazy how well he fought.
Yeah, it was surprisingly patient. Waiting his time, timing his shots. He knew he had time to do it. And also, I saw some of the footage when he was training with Mike Tyson. Nagano when he was training with Mike Tyson, he had this kind of a jab and like over punch to the body, like Tyson used to do. And through several times during the fight, he did the same kind of punch, setting up, that punch to the head. So because he made him
Yeah.
drop his guard, and in the 1 second he just clipped him, right?
Yeah.
So I was also surprised how patient he was to execute his techniques and his drills. Looking at it like post fight, you can see that he has this kind of patience in fighting, but in MMA, not necessarily in boxing. So you kind of think it's logical, but it's so easy to get distracted in a new sport where you're only allowed to use your hands and not being patient. So that was a huge quality that he displayed during that fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but Ngannou's style, like, it really changed in MMA as well. If you remember the first Stipe Miocic fight, like, he was kind of rushing in, like, just looking for the big power shot and, try to knock him out, like, as fast as he can. And then when they fought the second time, right? So he was much more patient. Obviously, he worked a lot on his wrestling, but, like, what impressed me that he wasn't like rushing in and eventually he found the knockout shot in the second round, and this fight kind of reminded me of that. Like he was like so calculated with his timing and everything. And yeah, he almost found the knockout shot. I mean, he knocked Fury down. I was like, wow, man, this is crazy.
Yeah. What's
What
the
do you think?
what's
What do you
the
think about the fight, man? Like, do you think that Fury actually won, or you think that Ngannou got robbed?
Wow, tough question. I'm glad you asked. I think that if Ngannou should have won this fight, it should be by knockout.
Hmm.
It's like if the new lion comes to a new territory and want to take the reigning lion, who's the king of the jungle here, then you got to take him out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not calling this a robbery either. You know, I mean, like
If
Fury, yeah, like he landed a bit more strikes, you know, but then again Ngannou landed like more power punches, so it's like really a 50-50, you know. So I think a split decision is fair, you know, like we cannot call this a robbery, but this itself for Ngannou is a win, man, because you know, to take the #1 heavyweight boxer to a split decision, you know, a split decision loss, you know, that's kind of a win in your first boxing match, man.
no, of course, man, it's sensational. And even after the fight, you can see Tyson Fury being blue and swollen in the face, and
Yeah,
Ngannou didn't have anything. And even
yeah.
Tyson pulled one of the elbows in the fight. That should be a point deduction as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that, yeah, and it's crazy. Like even the commentators didn't say it like during the fight, you know. I've just seen it like, uh, you know, watching some posts about the fight after that, like Tyson Fury, yeah, like he landed that right elbow and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it should have been a point deduction for sure, even if it was like, I mean, I don't know if it was. I'm pretty sure it was unintentional, so I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it could be a point deduction, you know, and but yeah, like other impressive thing against about Ngannou is that he used that double jab, you know, that he learned from Mike Tyson because he was like the shorter guy in this fight. Like probably his reach was also a bit shorter, right? So he used that double jab to like fucking close the distance and you know, get close to Fury. Like he did that perfect, man.
But finally, we had an MMA guy, if you can call Francis Ngannou an MMA guy.
I mean, he is.
Yeah, but he started like when he was 25. Most of these,
Yeah.
you know, if you look at Sugar Sean O'Malley, he started when he was like 12 or something, you know. So these
Yeah.
guys, so in that thought process, I was thinking like, if we can call him an MMA guy, a representative of the MMA community, finally we have one who steps into the boxing arena and really, yeah, puts his money where his mouth is, you know. You have all these MMA fighters fighting Jake Paul, getting knocked out, not having a real chance. And
Yeah.
finally, this guy steps into the like super heavyweight of boxing and puts on a
Yeah.
performance of a lifetime. So that was
Yeah.
also
I
a
mean,
good thing to see.
yeah, and it's like especially interesting because you know, like Jake Paul, if you think about it, like he beat Anderson Silva, he beat Nate Diaz, right? So on those fights, I would give, you know, Anderson Silva and Nate Diaz a way bigger chance to like beat Jake Paul, who's like not even a real boxer, let's be honest, right? I mean, he's boxing for what, like 3-4 years, you know. It's nothing in terms of like, you know, longevity and stuff. And you know, to think about it, that Ngannou just beat like Tyson Fury in boxing. I mean, not beat, but like went to a very close decision. But you know, I was very surprised because I was like, okay, if Nate Diaz and Anderson Silva cannot beat like you know, someone like Jake Paul, then how the hell can Ngannou beat, you know, Tyson Fury, or even go like a close fight with Tyson Fury? But I mean, yeah, it was crazy. Do you think like Fury maybe underestimated him a little bit?
I think everybody underestimated him, but in the pre press conference, Tyson Fury said like, normally I just have like 6 weeks training camp for my opponents, like, and for this one I have doubled it, you know, so I'm taking
Yeah,
him pretty serious. I think that Tyson Fury is waiting for his retirement fight and should have retired, not because he doesn't have more fight in him, but what more is there to prove? All the obstacle that he has overcome, you know, with his mental issues and addiction and, you know, depression, these kind of things. You know, you have a good life. You know, it's going to be harder and harder to transition to a normal life the longer you wait. So I think for him, there's not too much to prove, while Francis
you say
Ngannou has
that.
everything to prove.
You say that it's gonna be harder to transition to normal life because of like brain damage, or what do you mean by that?
No, yeah, it's a no good question, buddy. It's a really good question. No, what I'm picturing in my head is like the emotional transition from being in the
Right.
spotlight, always having focus, always having a next fight, always having something to work towards, right? And when you take away that spotlight, we talked about this in previous episodes as well. You know, when people are retiring, like Ferguson, and you know, like they always have one extra fight that they shouldn't have, right? And I
Yeah.
think the emotional transition is so hard, you know, like it's so big of part of your identity, like the boxing, the spotlight, the struggle, the fight, you know, to overcome it, and then the doubters, and then all you other distractions that you personally have, you know. We are all our worst own enemies, so that's just a system to try to beat that. And when you don't have that cause anymore, when you don't have that purpose anymore, what else is there, you know? Alcohol, he tried that. Drugs, he tried that. Women, he tried that too. So what else is there? He tried to retire. He came back, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he was retired once already. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that he should retire yet because you know he's like a W. I don't know what kind of champion he is, but he got like one belt, which he got when he beat Deontay Wilder, right?
Yeah.
But he still doesn't have the other two belts, which is I think it belongs to Usyk now, you know, the Ukrainian guy. So I think yeah, they're gonna fight in February now, so like next year February. So I think if he beats Usyk like convincingly, you know, then he should retire with those, you know, that he has all the belts in boxing, and then yeah, I think he should retire. Maybe okay, maybe two fights with Usyk, you know, to beat him twice, and then yeah, okay, after that you have nothing left to prove really. So I
Yeah, so
think
I think
after
is
that he should
Usyk and
retire.
Joshua, they have each share their own belts, you know?
Yeah, but Joshua still has a belt, or I think Usyk took all the belts from him, no?
Yeah, so he has everything?
I believe so. I
Okay.
believe so.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
not 100% sure, but I believe.
I think the fights that it would be fun to see is not a rematch between Tyson and the Ngannou. Now it would be fun to see Ngannou against Joshua.
Yeah, it would be fun against Joshua, or but I would love to see even more is Ngannou against Wilder, right?
Yeah,
Because they both like punch hard as fuck, you know, and that would be fireworks, man. To
yeah.
see like, and I think that fight would probably end in a knockout, you know, because Deontay Wilder just punches like so hard. I don't think that they would go to a decision, and yeah, I would love to see that, you know, and I think if Ngannou could beat Deontay Wilder, right, then this fight it wouldn't hurt like Fury's legacy. But if Deontay Wilder beats, you know, Ngannou pretty quick, then I think this fight hurts Tyson Fury's legacy a little bit because then everybody's gonna be talking about like, oh yeah, you know, you were 30 and 0 as a boxer, or what is he like? I think he's 30 and 0 or something. And you know, but there's this MMA guy just came over the boxing and took you to a split decision and you arguably lost, you know, it's gonna look bad on his record. But if Ngannou, you know, holds his place there and it's gonna be like a top 5, top 10 boxer, then I think you know Fury has nothing to be ashamed of.
When it comes to records and legacy, I think that looking at 10 years from now, nobody's going to remember. Oh, that was a cool fight. Oh, Tyson Fury, arguably, like how many of the fighters that were near to beat Mayweather in Joe's 50 fights, how many of them do you remember?
I mean, I know that he got a pretty close fight against Canelo, you know, and
Okay.
Pacquiao also, like these two. So
But at the
yeah,
end of it, it was close. But who won?
yeah. I mean, of course, you know, it's if you look at it that way, yeah. I mean, people will just like look at the record and like they'll say, okay, Tyson Fury is whatever 32 and also, yeah.
There's this
Only
old,
the real
you
real
know this.
hardcore fans maybe remember that okay, he had like a super close fight against, you know, Francis Ngannou. So
Okay, let's try a little social experiment here. You know these knock jokes?
I do, yeah.
Okay, let's do a test. Knock knock.
Who is it?
The guy who finished second. And then
Okay.
you're supposed to say the guy who finished second who? And I will say exactly. Nobody remembers him.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
point,
fair enough.
like winner takes it all. So at the end of the day, it's a business, and Tyson Fury is in a business for this, So I think the cool thing to see is like Ngannou's next boxing fight. That should be again. He's scheduled in the PFL fighting MMA from the to 2024, right? So
Yeah. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that if like he gets like a great boxing fight again against like Joshua or Deontay Wilder, he's gonna make like so much of money there that it's probably worth it for him to violate his contract with PFL, because then he can pay out all the legal fees and stuff like that just to get that whatever 20-30 million dollars from that one boxing fight.
he said that in the first MMA fight he will have in the PFL, he will make more money than he has done in the whole UFC fights.
Yeah, I can imagine that, but I mean, he wouldn't make as much as he would make against Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua, would he? I mean, boxing is just a different level still, like in terms of payments. So he would be better off like just boxing, some top level guys, and I would not try to do any more MMA fights if I was him, because he has nothing to prove when it comes to MMA, right? I mean, he's been UFC champion, he beat Miocic, he beat Cyril Gane, he beat I don't know who else, like a lot of top guys in the UFC. In PFL, there are not even like so many big names anymore, so he's kind of expected to win, but when he faces like a boxer who's like a top 5, top 10, he's like not expected to win still, because he's still like a rookie when it comes to boxing. So if he could imagine, knock out Anthony Joshua, for example, he would be like a fucking superstar, man.
Yeah, let's set up the fights. Like the first fight he should have now is it's a cool pre-press conference build up towards what's his name, Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, man. I mean, it would be amazing.
And if he
It
wins
would be
that, he
amazing.
should have Anthony Joshua, right?
Yeah. Or I would
And
see him
if
against.
he wins that, he should have Usyk.
Yeah, I mean, I would see him like against all three, but yeah, like as I said,
At the
uh,
same time,
the best one would be against Deontay Wilder.
three people match at the same night.
Yeah. It would be interesting, to see him against, let's say Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, but in MMA, but against them at the same time.
Jesus Christ. Then we have the gladiator Colosseum kind of setup. No, I think that would be a really cool, that would be a pay-per-view match to see Dito and Wilder first fight, and then go for Anthony Joshua. And then meanwhile, Tyson Fury is going to fight Usyk. And I think Usyk maybe be the winner of that one. And then what happens is he takes the winner out of that.
Yeah, but I think it's they're gonna make it happen against Deontay Wilder for him because even for Wilder it would be a better fight than just fighting some up and coming boxer with like a 20-0 record, because I mean in boxing, heavyweight boxing, who's there now? Like Joshua, Fury, Usyk, and Wilder, like these four, but they are the famous ones, right? The other ones are like relatively unknown. But if Wilder gets a fight against Ngannou, he's gonna get paid way more than if he fights some relatively unknown boxer. So I think Wilder is gonna push for that fight as well.
I think I saw this interview with Tyson Fury's wife, and they said like, okay, when has Tyson said anything about when he's going to retire? Well, hopefully I get him home and retire after the Usyk fight. And then a reporter replies like, yeah, but they are scheduled 2 fights, so there's at least going to be, well, there's going to be 2 Usyk fights? I didn't know that. They didn't tell me. I just found out through you. Oh no, that's in the making of. So I think they have like 2 matches scheduled, the Usyk fights.
Right. Yeah, I mean it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because one fighter is gonna win, and yeah, that there should be a rematch, right? Because to see like really who's the best, because if one of them beats the other twice, then it's no questions anymore, right?
You know who would be interesting to watch talk together?
Who?
Usyk in English, and then we have what's the Brazilian MMA fighter?
Who, Alex Pereira?
Yeah, who's learning in English by Strickland. Have you seen Usyk talk English?
Yeah, I've seen an interview with him. Yeah.
When they asked him like when he won his last fight, he said, "How do you feel?" "Yes, I feel." "Feel, yes, feel." And I saw this post interview after the fight with Ngannou and Furies, because he was sitting in the audience there, ringside, watching the fight.
Yeah.
And you see when he gets knocked down, he goes, "What? Whoa." And then I interview him after. I said, and then Usyk says, I said, "Jab, jab, jab, jab." So he tried to coach him, So kind of like, hey, you gotta move, man. So I think Usyk is more collected. His home country is at war. He's not in a party mode. He doesn't have these kind of distractions. He is literally in a war, and he's in there to take people's heads. So I'm afraid when he meets Tyson Fury, my vote is on Usyk though.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm wondering, like that the thing that you mentioned, like that your own country is at war, like is it like an advantage or a disadvantage? Because it could also like mess with your head a little bit, like sure it can give you like motivation, like make you angry and make you work harder, but at the same time, if you think about it, like that's not necessarily ideal, to get ready for a fight, because you have like some, I don't know if he has like close relatives there, but like even some distant relatives, and then you just kind of have these thoughts that, oh, like maybe my cousin fucking died today or something, and then it can kind of mess with your head.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It's not the ideal circumstances. I was thinking it more of the situation like he's not in a party mode. He doesn't go to party. He's more focused. You don't see him go out being distracted with women and partying, because his family and friends are literally at war. So he's, there's not the time for him to relax and go on vacation and not being in fight mode, right? So I think that kind of reinforces his fight camp when he goes. And for what I've seen, he's always in shape, that guy. He's always in shape for this. So and he's a pretty hard hitter, and he's a technical fighter. So, and he's present
he's very technical. He's very technical for sure. I mean, I don't think that even if there was no war, I don't think that he would like fuck up his preparation with like partying and stuff like that. I don't think that he would get to this level if he would be like, not a disciplined guy. Like you gotta have some kind of discipline, obviously, to be like a world champion. But yeah, I mean, then again, like you have guys like John Jones, right, who goes on a fucking, 1 week long party before the fight and does coke and, get drunk and hit a fucking pregnant lady with his car, shit like that. But yeah,
it's not good for us to laugh about it, but it's such a contrast. So we can't sit here and cry. So I think the good thing about it is laugh about the situation, but. Yeah, John Jones, he was asked once, like, are you a good guy trying to be bad? or are you a bad guy trying to be good? You know what he said?
What?
That's a good question.
Mm.
I think I'm a bad guy trying to be good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say so. I would say
Yeah.
that about John Jones. Yeah, for sure,
He has
for
some
sure.
demons running through his system, so I'm thinking he's like trying to adapt to a somewhat civilized society, but that like he's the top primate of the world. You know, he's like the ultimate fighter, the ultimate fighter.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But it's like pretty interesting that, like all these fucking combat sports athletes who are like the top, you can talk about like Mike Tyson, right? John Jones, now Tyson Fury, like all of them are pretty messed up in their head, like they're not like 100% sane, these guys. And it's kind of like, this genius effect, right? Like you had people like Albert Einstein, like fucking was like Vincent van Gogh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correct. That the painter, like they were all fucking crazy, right?
Yeah,
So like to be a fucking genius, you gotta be a little bit crazy, right?
exactly. That's a good way of saying it. You know, there's no way you're the top world champion in this kind of sport and say, well, I go home, I'll work as an accountant now.
Yeah.
Nothing bad about accountants. We need them for sure, but I think that when it comes down to it, you're not able to adapt to the normal life. Even in the animal kingdom, if you have the 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 king of the jungle, it's only for a limited time of period. It's not sustainable to be that. There will be some young blood coming, taking over. It will be brutal and will end in a fight where the king has to lose eventually, right? You cannot reign forever. That's just the law of the nature, even
Yeah.
with humans and animals. So for these gentlemen to do that, they live at 110%. They have some bad demons running through their system in their blood. So of course, talking about that, you see John Jones pulling out due to an injury.
Oh man, that's such a fucking shame, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen that. I was like very, very upset about it because I was looking for that fight really. Um, I was like, it was like to me, like not like really a 50-50 fight, but Stipe had a fair chance to win that fight.
Yeah.
So I was like very excited about it. So yeah, I was like very upset, and also that none of these guys got rebooked against other guys. So now it's Tom Aspinall against Sergey Pavlovich in the main event.
Okay.
Uh, so no, I think it's not the main event, but for like the interim heavyweight championship. So I'm excited about that fight as well. Don't get me wrong, but I would have loved to see like John Jones against Stipe Miocic, and we may not see that fight now because I mean Stipe is not getting any younger. He's like I think 40, 41 or something. And yeah, I don't know like how long this injury is gonna go on for John Jones.
What's wrong
So
about being 40?
good question, buddy. Good question. Don't know. I've not been 40 yet, so I
There's
hopefully
only
yet
the
to
only the
experience
strong
that.
one gets old, man.
Was that?
There's only the strong man who gets old. So just
That's
be
right, I
careful,
guess.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm also old now. I'm almost 30, so I guess
Yeah.
I can call myself old.
Yeah, you have an old soul, huh? But did you hear anything about the speculations why John Jones pulled out of the fight?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's some crazy stuff going on. Like people talk about that there is like no USADA anymore, so that maybe he can get juiced up and come back like a fucking monster and all that. I mean, yeah, I guess we will never know. Like we'll never know like what's the truth, right? But I just don't think that Jones would need to do that. It just doesn't make sense to me because he was like already in the preparation for so long. I mean, he's much younger than Stipe. I think he's overall probably a better fighter, even if just a little bit, but he's better. So I don't think it would make sense for him to get pulled out because Now, if he wants to come back and fight for the heavyweight championship, he will have to fight Aspinall or Pavlovich, right? Which is gonna be a more difficult fight than Stipe, because those guys are like fucking in their prime right now, and they like hit hard as fuck. You know, they are good wrestlers. You know, good jiu-jitsu. Also like bigger than Stipe, so it's gonna be harder to beat them.
Yeah, that's really good points, man. You know, it's not a strategical good decision to pull out, even if you need to get juiced up. And what we're seeing from John Jones, he doesn't need like that kind of extra benefits. You know, he comes out of doing coke, you know, on 1 week until the fight, and then he goes clean, and then he does the fight, right? So that's a good point that you're making. It's actually a bad strategic plan for him to pull out, and in order to get juiced up, it would be a weird thing to do. But then again, that's the cool thing about the fight world. We never know how people are reacting or planning, and as we said earlier in this episode, you know, you got to be a little bit crazy to be in this sport, and especially at this level.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, yeah, I don't think John Jones would risk something like that. You know, I mean, imagine if Pavlovich wins this fight, you know, the guy hits like fucking Ngannou, man. Like he's the white Ngannou, right? So, I mean, he's younger, you know, he's bigger and stuff like that. So I think it would be an extremely risky fight for John Jones. Maybe he would still get it done, obviously, because like he's John Jones, right? But you know, it's just one punch from Pavlovich, right? And it's fucking lights out. So it's not the same as Stipe, because Stipe like doesn't hit that hard.
All right, Mr. Adam, can you please be so kind to sum up the episode, what we talked about today?
Well, absolutely. You know, Francis Ngannou against Tyson Fury, what we discussed is how the fight played out, and Ngannou's options going on, and yeah, also touched in John Jones and Stipe Miocic and Aspinall against Pavlovich. So it was a great time talking to you, buddy.
Fantastic. Let's look forward to what comes in the future for the boxing world for Ngannou, and let's see if John Jones makes a miraculous recovery and does an MMA fight soon. Okay.
Most definitely, man.
All right. Peace out, buddy. Have a good one.
Ciao, buddy.
Ciao.
Take care.